Hey guys, Crypto Sunday, and it's a rather nice green week, much like the stock side yesterday. It's been good overall. It is sort of largely the major coins still. Altcoins still not really getting a huge amount of love. Sort of reordered my smaller side down here. Still thinking of sort of maybe taking some profit on some of them and buying into helium. Still considering, but we'll see where prices go. Just having a look at the coin shares report from this week. It was positive, 407 million in the green. In terms of inflows, it's mostly into Bitcoin, of course. Small outflow from Ethereum. It's still sort of not getting a lot of love on the US ETF side. Small amount into multi-asset, small amount into Solana, and sort of some smaller inflows elsewhere. A million into XRP. Short Bitcoin getting sold off. I imagine that'll be the same again. People sort of profit taking or loss taking or whatever it is. We don't know if they have made money, although certainly this week it's rather unlikely. And yeah, a million into other. And then by country, sort of outflow from Brazil. Can't always have inflows, but it's single figures, positive and minus, all across the world basically, except US. So yeah, very very small. We've sort of been seeing 50 million, 70 million inflows and outflows, from various countries. So this was just a bit of a quiet week. But looking at the more recent news, looks like that coin shares report is going to be extremely positive next week or tomorrow. But we saw the Ethereum ETFs, and it was very very quiet. It's been sort of tumbleweed on some days. Again, we saw a little bit of inflow into the BlackRock one, with a little bit of outflow out of Grayscale. So net, it's not really been a huge amount. A little bit into Fidelity, but 24 million, 17 million. Did get a 48 on Thursday, but it's nothing too drastic compared to the Bitcoin side, where we've had a full week of very large inflows. You had on the Friday 253 million, and then we've had 500, 300, two 400s, and a 200 million inflow. This is fairly scattered across the spectrum. You had quite a bit into ARK, so Cathie Wood's boys are out there selling, or out there, selling Bitcoin to investors. They're not selling, but yeah, most of it is going into BlackRock, as you can see, sort of close to over 900 million in 3 days. And even as I always sort of am bemused by people buying Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, not as a trade, it's inflows into the ETF at 1.5% fee. So whether they just think there's a lot of volume there and it's something they want to trade, I don't know, but can't see what reason else you would have sort of net inflows into the highest fee one on the market. But there you go. So yeah, coin shares report is going to be sort of 1.5 billion or something, and looking very positive. We also got what I think is very positive news as well. Some people are sort of saying that this may be, the start of a down move, sort of similar to when futures launched, because people can, now short Bitcoin in an easier way. I don't think options are quite the same. So the SEC approved BlackRock to have options on their ETF, and they have now added accelerated approval of basically all of the others, ARK, Fidelity, Franklin, Invesco and all them, Grayscale as well. So you can now buy and sell options on these, and that should sort of dampen volatility potentially, but it also allows people that sort of want to hedge their risk to buy in who may not have bought in before. So, people may want to sort of buy the ETF and then sort of sell an option against it to hedge out part of that risk. They may not want sort of quite such the up and downs that you get with Bitcoin. So this can sort of bring potentially large money in. As I say, a lot of people are sort of seeing it as sort of dampening volatility and maybe even the top, because it's sort of paper Bitcoin, if you like. The options sort of won't really contain real crypto or anything unless people hedge the options by sort of buying the ETF. You get that with call options and things. People selling sort of call options may hedge that by buying the underlying stock. So yeah, you can get sort of, people are getting very excited about squeezes and gamma squeezes, short squeezes and all sorts. I'm not sure whether we'll get that. We'll have to see. I would still say that I think Wall Street are sort of just as degenerate in some ways as Bitcoin people. I do think you'll get some, some of Wall Street sort of just wanting to take the sort of leverage that you get from options and, putting out of the money, call options on Bitcoin going above $100,000, say, and wanting sort of that leverage rather than having to put such a large position on. You've got various people, Bitwise. Jeff Park said this is a massive upgrade from people like LedgerX and Deribit, who sort of currently offer options on Bitcoin itself. This is obviously options on the ETF, and you don't have central guarantors where you would get that sort of in your brokerage account. So it's a little bit safer. And other people have been saying you can't short squeeze, you can't have a short squeeze on sort of something this big. I like the quote here: saying you can't short squeeze $1 trillion asset is like saying you can't make an elephant dance. It's huge, but if you tie enough ropes to its legs and pull hard enough, even the biggest creature can be moved in ways it doesn't want. You potentially have sort of two sides of this, one being people potentially wanting to invest and hedge, dampening volatility, as they say. But I think you also have the side of Wall Street that wants to be a gambler, degenerate, and sort of going long call options and sort of 0-day options if they have those, the same as sort of on other stocks and indexes. Betting on what the price is going to be by the end of the day, where I think even most crypto investors are a little bit longer term than that. So, yeah, I don't think there's an official date that these have to be listed, but if the SEC is calling it accelerated approval, then I think suffice to say everyone wants these relatively soon. And if we're talking about ETFs, South Korea is discussing approval of their own spot ETFs. So we've got sort of lots of ETFs in Europe and Canada, and South Korea haven't really had theirs quite yet. They are actually a very big crypto sort of focused country. I think they have a larger percentage of the population being holders of crypto than sort of certainly UK, for example, or the US. They're sort of very keen, but it is sort of the retail sector rather than having, licensed products on brokerage accounts. So if they were to approve these, then whether people will sort of sell their crypto on chain and buy the ETFs, that certainly seems to be part of what's happened, and is maybe part of the inflow into the US ETFs. It's not all necessarily new money. It could just be people, selling Bitcoin out of their wallet and buying the ETF in an equivalent amount. And you have, people doing the sort of sell futures and buy the ETF just to get sort of arbitrage. And that's why you sometimes don't see a big spike up on a big inflow. But it's all money out there and sort of legitimizing the space. So if South Korea did approve it, then it's another country and another country potentially sort of sitting at zero. You got South Korea's equivalent of Wall Street, sort of maybe wanting to buy in. You've got Ethereum going after the phone market potentially. This isn't the team themselves, the Ethereum Foundation. This is Freedom Factory, sort of launching DGen 1. Maybe not the best name for it if you want to sort of get it out to the wider population, I suppose. This is going to be people deep in the Ethereum ecosystem already, I suppose, but it uses Ethereum's ETHOS 4.0, seamless, crypto interactions. It's going to sort of work with NFTs, I presume, meme coins and all sorts, and it's a crypto-focused device. Obviously, you would hope it's a decent phone anyway. A lot of these phones have sort of been $400, $800, and are sort of, at the base of it, a very good phone, and they just also have crypto functions on top. So yeah, it can be your only phone. I don't think anybody wants. Some people have if they've got sort of plenty of money, but I would imagine the target audience is for people to have this as their main phone, not a second phone. That just seems a little bit extreme. But some people will like it for security, I suppose. But you do have very little sort of in the way of crypto happening on phones, so I think that's why Solana went for theirs. And yeah, now you've got sort of potentially an option on Ethereum. This was funny as well. The FBI arresting the hacker behind the guy that hacked the SEC Twitter account. If you remember, the shortly before the launch of the Bitcoin ETFs, somebody hacked the SEC account and tweeted that they'd been approved, and you got Gary Gensler, recovering it and tweeting that the account was compromised, and the SEC has not approved listing and trading of Bitcoin ETFs, and obviously they did not long after. But yeah, hacker gained control of the account through a SIM swap attack, which I would imagine they did have to have somebody sort of somewhat on the inside, maybe not colluding, but this doesn't happen out of nothing, from what I gather. And yeah, they've been caught, potentially looking at sort of 5 years in prison. It's looking like you can't just hack into the SEC and get away with it. And everyone's sort of laughing that this person was supposedly Googling, am I being tracked by the FBI? How do you know that you're being, Telegram SIM swap, searching for SEC Gov hack, and how do I know? How can I know for sure if I'm being investigated by the FBI? And what are the signs? So they will find out all of this stuff. You can't hide from them, basically. And what better way to end, of course, than a bit of Craig Wright news. He is now putting a new lawsuit, even after getting shot down, it seems, by the same court, saying that he's not Satoshi. He has turned up the heat on Bitcoin Core with a $911 billion lawsuit. I hadn't checked, but I'm guessing this is the total market cap of Bitcoin, basically. I suppose he's saying that is entirely his, so he's owed all the money. Obviously, you could never realize anything like that. If you tried to sell sort of $20 billion worth of Bitcoin, then the price would come crashing down in fairly quick succession, and it wouldn't be worth 911 billion pounds, $1.2 trillion almost. But they have to put these figures out there, and yeah, basically it seems saying it's his, and it's deviated. The Bitcoin Core developers have deviated from his original vision. I would say Satoshi's original vision, but yeah, it was never going to be exactly as the white paper set out. I think growing to the size it is now, that was just not really feasible, and most people are sort of a lot happier on where it is now. Yeah, you can see the staggering figure was derived by comparing the market value of Bitcoin SV, which is, of course, a fork of Bitcoin, copy and paste coin with a few changes, and it's $65 a token as opposed to, well, it says $62,000 here. It's now $68,000. And yeah, he's saying basically his Bitcoin SV should be worth $62,000 a coin. And he's losing out because the Crypto Open Patent Alliance, or sort of Bitcoin Core, have ruined it, basically, what he set out. But he's saying the whole of Bitcoin Core are the defendants. That's who he's going after, and that's not a particular person. And he's saying he's allowed to take legal action against a partnership, and he will sort of give the more specific details, and we'll ask them for, specific details about themselves, and it's just all a load of rubbish, really. I would imagine it just gets thrown out again, or maybe it does go to court and he probably loses again, but does seem to like a lawsuit. So looking at coins for the week, pretty much everything is green. Bitcoin up 9%, so is Solana, and Ethereum up 7.6, Chainlink up 4.2, XRP up 1%. It's lagging behind, sort of hoping for some good news there, and still sort of potentially thinking about making a switch. Obviously, they got whacked with the SEC appeal, and they've sort of got back to uncertainty, so it got knocked down. It was worth sort of 4,800 not so long ago. Power Ledger up 4%, and that is coming up the rankings. It's my highest ranked sort of smaller altcoin, I suppose you'd call it. And yeah, I sort of reordered these, and it's now top. So looking good. Gala up 9%. Again, sort of coming up the rankings. Sort of considering maybe selling out, but I have been watching the user metrics, and it's sort of reasonably up. But yeah, I think I would probably prefer Helium. They're sort of, again, their metrics are very, very up the last few months. Audius up 7%. Internet computers basically flat. Quant is down 0.5%. That's not looking particularly good, but I am still kind of considering selling, even though it's not been performing too well, just because I can't see anything going on, and it's £1,200 that could be maybe put to better use. Basic attention token up 2.7%. Polygon completely flat. Again, if it wasn't for Polymarket, I probably would have sold Polygon already, but yeah, we'll have to see if they can do anything. And VeChain is up 3.8%. So, and Helium, which I don't own, is up 1.5% for the week, having had a fairly big drop earlier in the week. I was sort of very tempted to make the switch from Gala and Quant to Helium, but I didn't. So yeah, leave your thoughts in comments below if you guys are doing well, if you're buying anything, or if you're taking profits maybe and switching to something else. And like and subscribe. See you soon.